Take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our VIBAL webinars. Experience learning, ka-VIBAL? And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. He's a consultant and evaluator for K-12 Philippine Basic Education, a curriculum and academic consultant of Sisters of Mary. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Brother Roderick M. Aguirre.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, teachers and viewers out there. Once again, we are now on our last day of our learning intervention webinar series for this week with, of course, the Edu Services of VIBAL. And thank you very much for staying with us for this whole week, for learning about how we can help our students overcome some of the struggles that they are facing right now with the new changes in the learning environment, especially learning at home. And before I begin, I would like to give a shout out to the following people. To begin with, I would like to say hi to Rosalie Chavez Faune from Quezon City. Anak-anakan ko po yan way back at Philippine Normal University. Mary Ann Ramos Boctil from San Pablo City. She's always watching, keeping abreast with all the topics and webinars of VIBAL. Grace Sheila Rama Madriaga, my former student. She's from Bulacan. Of course, Precious Bergado Marquez, Quinto from Imo City, a TLE teacher. To my sis, Adeline Valenzuela Barles, a math teacher, a high school math teacher from Division of Imos. To all the Benedictine Institute of Learning teachers, to, of course, the administrator, Mr. Noel Abad, and to Ma'am Shelo Valenzuela. And of course, to a good friend of mine, Galileo Go, the newly appointed, installed ASDS of the Division of Cavite Province. And of course, finally to Ma'am Nelson Nieves from the Sisters of Mary, Boys Town, Talisay. I'm sorry, Adlas Silang, and all teachers of the Sisters of Mary Schools Philippines. Good afternoon. And I'm a bit excited to share to you the last topic for this week, my last topic for the webinar for this week, which is on providing intervention to students who may have poor study habits. A lot of our students out there have poor study habits, and whether we like it or not, we need to admit that there are a lot of factors that contribute to our students having poor study habits. We cannot just singly point out that the cause of the poor study habits of our students would be the students themselves. I would like to point that out, that study habits would be set skills, like any other learned skills. Study habits is also learned. And since these are set skills, meaning we need to teach our students these skills as well. And this afternoon, we're going to find out some of those simple ways we can help our students be able to come up with the acquisition of these set skills in order for them to survive, especially this school year, which is very demanding from our students. So before I start talking, let me share to my PowerPoint presentation. All right. Here we go. All right, so my topic is all about poor study habits, and these are mostly some of the tips for parents, especially for parents out there, and for educators to provide intervention activities for our students. I have been a consultant for schools for quite some time now, for the past decade, and one of the problems that I encountered in schools that I handled would be students with study habits problem. or if not, they don't really have study habits. And one of the things that I've encountered is when I had a chance to talk to the students is that they never realized that they need to have those study skills. And we're going to find out why some of the students do not know these set skills, which we call now as study habits. We will go through our discussion using the outline. I would like us to always be structured when it comes to me giving information, and it gives me a way of controlling all the thoughts in my heads. And there are a lot of things I would like to say, but I would like to situate and contextualize all the things that I will be sharing to you based on this outline and the flow of discussion. All right. And I'll begin with an introduction. I will just provide you with three most common myths, and we're going to identify these three common myths about study habits, and we're going to bust them and identify why we're not supposed to believe in these myths. Second, once we're done with that, we now move on to reading or listening to me read aloud some of the statements from an expert published online and published in books for us to be able to situate our discussion on that statement and basically be able to help us at least contextualize all the things that we'll be discussing for this afternoon. And then we'll have discussion, and the flow by discussion is very simple, question answer. And this has been my style, not just for presenting my topics through face-to-face trainings or via webinars or when I'm writing. That's also my way of, the way I think. Somehow this is my part of my study habit, one of my skills too, is doing study habits. Okay. And then we'll have an open forum. So if you have questions along the way, do not hesitate to key in your comments, your clarifications, and your questions on the comments box below. All right. And then finally, I'll provide you with, conclusions, tying loose ends, and then I'll post some challenges to you, both parents and teachers out there. All right. So let us begin. I encountered during my years of being an administrator, I encountered a lot of misnomers of teachers and parents alike about study habits, and these are the top three myths that I could present to you now. One, if I spend more time studying, I will get better grades. A lot of teachers and a lot of parents would advise students to spend more time studying. But these statements from teachers and from parents telling students to spend more time studying paves the way to a question that students ask themselves. How do I do that? You keep on telling us to study, spend more time studying, and yet you have not shown us how it's done. All right. So this is a myth. It's not how how long you spend studying, but it's the quality of studying that matters. If we have provided our students with the strategies, both mental strategies, we call it as soft strategies, and the hard strategies like note-taking skills, then we have equipped our students to start acquiring certain good and effective study habits. But remember, these strategies will become personal strategies of our students, and our job and our responsibility as educators and as teachers is to model to them all of these strategies. Therefore, it is not how long our students devote more time studying, but it's actually the strategies, the quality of strategies that they use in order to understand the subject matter that they are studying on. Therefore, statement number one is busted. All right. Statement number two, and I just, I feel like suffocated with this kind of, all right, that's better. I can breathe. All right. Statement number two, I study better under pressure and at the last minute. A lot of students and even teachers and even parents, I heard a lot of this statement from parents saying, nung nag-aaral nga ako, ganyan na ginagawa ko, pasado minsan nagbata pa nga ako, pumapasa nga ako dahil mas nagiging creative ako at mas nagiging focus ako sa pag-aaral kung nagkakram ako. Um, that may be partially true for some people who would just, use study habits or would just study to just pass a particular test. But if you're situating study habits for lifelong learning perspective, not just passing a test, then cramming is not the right answer. So studying better under pressure and at the last minute is only accomplishing short-term goals. But for long-term goals, it will not serve you right. Therefore, it is not right to study under pressure. It is always providing certain time, coming up with a schedule that works well with you so that it becomes part of you as a person and provides a structure in your life so that you become lifelong learner, not just looking at accomplishing short-term goals like accomplishing a project or passing a test, because the results would be you pass a test, but after that you have forgotten everything that you have memorized because what you used during the cramming would be just the short-term memory, and there's a huge possibility that the information that you crammed into your head, all right, that you crammed in your head would be after the test would be forgotten. And therefore, statement number two, I study better under pressure in the last minute for in the perspective of lifelong learning, and learning is as a process, and learning what you're supposed to be learning is busted. All right. And now let's proceed to statement number three, last statement. Um, a lot of teachers and parents would say, I take better notes on computer. I know this is one of the, I'm sorry, but this is so hilarious to me. A lot of students and a lot of teachers would say that I study better by encoding all the notes in my computer or my tablet and all. All right. If you watch my session this week about handwriting and writing, you would know the benefits of note taking and writing notes as part of study habits. This is not acceptable. I take better notes on a computer than I do by writing them down is a myth. All right. Stanford University has been doing a longitudinal study about their college students doing lots of two groups of students doing note taking using their computers, and students who are doing note taking using books and using notebooks and papers. And results show that there is more quality learning for those students who are taking down notes using a traditional book and a pencil, because according to the students, the information stays with their mind and stored in their long-term memory better than when they do take down notes using their computer. Therefore, using that longitudinal study, and if you have a study, if you don't have a study in that, and we say this is a longitudinal study and I believe in this, all right? And that's Stanford University. Therefore, statement number one, I take better notes on a computer than I do by writing them down, is busted. And ladies and gentlemen, we have busted three common myths that most teachers and parents out there have told themselves and eventually are now telling their kids and their children about this, which is basically should not be the case. So as we move along with our discussion, we will understand why all of these three statements are all busted, and I would say these are myths. And therefore, I am encouraging you all people out there to forget about the statements, shed away those statements from your head so that you are not able to influence your students, to influence your kids to believe in these statements. Now let's situate our discussion by this statement from the Student Wellness Center from the University of Saskatchewan. All right, this statement struck me so much about the topic that we're talking about this afternoon, and I do a lot of readings and have a lot of collection of books. and I have a lot of collection of not just tangible books, but also ebooks and also subscription to online journals. And I think a lot of teachers like myself and like you guys out there, it's very important for us to constantly update ourselves and the new trends, and especially on researches that would you beneficial for us in making decisions, like especially for me when my job is mostly to help schools improve and innovate and be able to progress as a school in order to provide the learners with quality services. It's very important for me to always be abreast with the changes and the new trends in the field of education. So this one struck me most, and let's read the statement. Study smarter, not harder. Take note of that. Study smarter, not harder. By actively developing good study skills and learning strategies, you will keep your motivation high and achieve your goals more easily and more efficiently. What I like about this university is that they have a specific center that provides support to college students on providing them with effective strategies in order for them to come up with a better set skills for them to be able to study their subject areas. And I think a lot of schools should also realize, do we have a particular area in our school that provides our students with services, support services, in order to provide them with programs, activities, so that they will be equipped with the strategies for them to acquire certain good habits towards studying. And I think most of the schools in the Philippines would rely so much on individual teachers to provide their students with the study habits. But then again, it's too much responsibility on our teachers. Teachers' primary responsibility is to help students acquire the learning competencies and the desired knowledge, the desired mindset, and the desired attitude and skills and ethics, CASAVE, for the acronym, on the subject matter that they are teaching. Over and above that, if we require our teachers to add on to our students' study habits acquisition of the skills, then I think our teachers will be soaked with lots of responsibilities to take care of. Not to mention with the task of preparing for online teaching. I believe that schools right now should seriously take into consideration what this university is doing to help the students. We need to have a separate group or support system in our school to provide our students and our teachers, so that our students and our teachers alike will be focusing more on successfully delivering their primary responsibilities. All right. I believe in the private schools in the Philippines, in the public schools, we should we should mobilize effectively and efficiently our guidance counselor's office. And I think that will be what an equivalent center from the University of Saskatchewan, Student Wellness Center, will be an equivalent support system in our schools. But if you don't have yet a guidance counselor's office who provides all of this service to our students, then you're only helping students to survive, but not to be able to become lifelong learners. And that's what we're going. This is what I want you to focus more on: what the school can provide. What and on top of that, what can the school provide to the parents in order to help parents monitor what's happening to their children at home? Are they actually studying? Are the strategies effective for my children? So we should have this program at school that would be an avenue for parents to be able to voice out some of their concerns towards happenings of their children learning at home. Okay. So let's now have our discussion, and we're going to understand how teachers and parents can help students form good study habits. Okay, while of course overcoming the other demands of online and distance education. Let us begin with answering the first question what is study habits. For this week, I decided for a more elegant presentation, and next week I will have a different kind of presentation. So I just love looking at different designs. But anyway, so say there is a student not nonchalant, not a care in the world, um, would just like go to school because his parents told him so, and most of his friends go to school, so he doesn't want to be left behind. So he wants to go to school, but he's not really motivated to go there because he's baffled as to what am I supposed to do there afterwards. What I do, I have difficulty learning the concepts that my teachers teach me. So how do I motivate myself? Part of knowing study habits is to help our students. They will not acquire the set skills and study habits if they don't have personal goal. It is very important for our students to come up with the question, to come up with the answer to the question, what do I want to be after, say, 5 years after graduating from college, meaning your short-term goal is to finish elementary, to finish basic education, to enter college, and then after that, after 5 to 10 years after college, who do I want to be? I think during my generation, I'm sorry, again, we're talking about differences of generation, but during my generation, parents were so actively participating with the dreams creation or the creation of dreams and goals of children. And my mom, well, my dad wasn't really that active, but he was supporting my mom on that. My mom would always ask me, what do you want to be? And I said, I really don't know. I want to be, because I was so good at singing, and I'm not saying I'm so good at singing. When I was a kid, I could sing and I can draw, and I was doing a lot of creative things. I can dance a little bit though, but not necessarily I'm good, but I think I was good. So I wanted to go into the creative arts. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor. My dad, support me on that. But my mom said, walang pera dyan. Kung gusto mong kumanta, di mag-sideline ka, sumalis ka mga contest. But that should not be your bread and butter. So my mom was at that time was taking law. She was taking law, and I think she never finished it because of being a full time being a working mom. She I think decided not to pursue her dreams. But I think she said that she wanted me to be a lawyer, and for the longest time until high school, I thought I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. So these were the two things that my mom wanted me to become: a medical doctor or a lawyer, and it stuck with my mind. But after high school, I was really. But the point there is that even if I did not believe, I didn't have my own dreams in life. My mom guiding me, my parents guided me to a personal goal, somehow gave me a purpose of going to school and doing my best for school. Otherwise, without that personal goal, I wouldn't want to go to school because I already had a group a theater group that I joined. Without my mother's knowledge and without my father's knowledge, I joined a theater group. I joined a singing group, and I joined other clubs outside school, and I was enjoying a lot. But because my mom was giving me so much pressure on achieving the goals, I think her goals for me, I without me knowing it, I was able to strike a balance between what I want and what I want in life and what my parents wanted me to become. And eventually, it worked. All right, I had I had good grades. I got good grades. I'm not saying I was really that good because again, I wanted just to be able to survive school because that's what my mom wanted. It as a grade that at least be part of the top 10 or part of the top 50, but not necessarily bagging the first prize. But I want because I was my classmates didn't know that I was part of the other group. All my personal dreams, okay, all my personal dreams during my time were all covert, okay, and I've been doing it as a sideline. And my parents, I think, they only learned when I was in college already. And that's when they realized, he can sing, he can dance, he can act. No, so that was my short-term goal. And I also had the role later on when I was realizing that, oh, I can survive. I can survive academics. I can survive school. That made me realize I need to have a good schedule. And part of the good schedule, I realized that was part of my study habits. Alam ko na bago ako pumasok sa school, sa gabi pa lang, mag-aaral na ako para wala akong dalang mga libro. Dahil pagkatapos ng school, diretso ako sa theater group. So sa theater group, most of them were out of school youth. So I don't want them to feel na dito si Aguirre pumapasok. Ano to, nerdy to, nag-aaral pa tas may theater. So I wanted them to feel that I was, like them, na hindi rin nag-aaral, bulakbol, and so on and so forth. So pumapasok ako sa school na ang dala ko lang ay pencil at saka papel na nakasuksok sa likod ng aking van. So parang ako sa isang bugoy ng mga panahon na yun. So a lot of my friends in high school and a lot of my friends in my community thought that bulakbol lang talaga ako kasi pampas. But they didn't realize I had study habits. I studied all the books. I took down notes. With these notes, the way I took down notes would be graphically. Hindi ako nagsusulat ng mga ng words. Graphics lang because my teachers in high school then, when they present their information was in a graphic format. Blackboard talaga graphic format yun. So I think I got the study habits of doing note-taking using graphic organizers through my teachers. We didn't have, a center that, provide us with trainings how to acquire certain, note-taking skills. But because the way the strategies of the teaching strategies of the teachers, I realized that that's a better way to take down notes. So I just, copied it. Ang tawag ko doon ay nagagaya lang ako sa ginagawa ng mga teachers. That, without my better judgment, I was able to imbibe those strategies and it helped me well for a person who had, dual lives, living two lives. One academically, living the dream of my parents, and the other one living my own dream. And then eventually, a lot of people, I was about to graduate, I wanted to go to, I wanted to be a priest. And sorry, I'm talking about my life. This is just, my example of, having study habits. I wanted to be a priest. And I thought that if I enter priesthood, all my singing, my dancing, composing, writing, creative writing skills would be put into better use if I become, a priest. But my mom told me that let's bargain. If you pass the UPCAT, then that means God is giving you a different path for you to take. Eh sabi naman ng mga kaibigan ko at saka mga kapitbahay namin, hindi yan makakapasa, hindi naman nag-aaral yan. Pala kung pasok ngayon, lapis lang at saka papel ng dala, paano makakapasa yan sa UPCAT? So, well, I said, okay, mom. So my mom was the one who filled out the UPCAT forms. She submitted everything. My dad, kasama ng daddy ko noon, sila nag-process lahat ng papers ko. Sumasama lang ako, going with the flow, but I didn't feel like I wanted to get in University of the Philippines. But alas, I passed all the top three choices. So, siguro yun ang gusto ni Lord. So, napunta ako na Maynila. And that's it. The rest is history. The point, ladies and gentlemen, is that for students to come up with good study habits, be motivated, be interested to acquire this set skills of study habits is for them first to have a personal goal, whether it's their personal goal or the goal that the parents and the teachers guide them for them to think that that's their dream as well. The point is that whether these are their personal goals in life or the goals set by their parents and the teachers, it's a good way to help our students because it would give them a reason why they need to study. Kasi kung wala pong mga goals na yan, wala talaga. Ba't sila mag-aaral? Ay, makapasa lang ako. Alright? So, if they have the study habit, they will be able to control, manage their time, be able to know what's important, prioritize things. Unahin ba niya ang mga kaibigan ng cellphone? O unahin mo niya? Kagaya ko nun, pagdating sa bahay, ang gagawin ko muna ng assignments ko. Mabilisan talaga. Okay? Minsan dahil I will be able to finish my classes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I still had I would pass by the library sa Leyte National High School. Dadaan ako sa library muna at doon ako gagawa ng mga assignments. Alright? Tapos ang gagawin ko sa mga assignments na yan, papahawak ko na sa mga classmates ko. Ito na assignment ko. Bahala kayo ng mga opya. Alright? So wag niyo nawawalain. Pag-uwi ko sa bahay, study lang ng konti for the next lessons namin. Good thing kasi isa ako sa mga nabigyan ng kumpletong libro noon. Nagsipag-unahan talaga ako. And then I'm able to do things what I wanted to do. Diretso na ako sa theater group, diretso na ako sa singing, sa choir namin and all. And people thought na hindi man pagkatapos ng school sa klase diretso agad sa mga kabarkada niya and so on so forth. Paano kayo makakapasa sa these were the thoughts of the people surrounding me, but they never realized that I was able to establish my priorities. I was able to manage my time. And I was able to live dual lives because of my goals and my parents' goals. And I was able to know what I want to watch television. Well, mabuti yung panahon namin, walang masyadong TV program, so it was not a distraction for us then. Radyo pa ang may distraction, pero ang radyo namin nun, talagang ang entertainment nun ay nasa gabi pa. So I was able to focus more on more productive things. Ang problema kasi ngayon, sa panahon ngayon ng ating mga estudyante, ang daming mga gadgets, at ang daming mga applications, at ang daming mga programa sa televisions na hindi naman nakakatulong sa kanilang learning. Nung panahon namin kasi, nakakatulong talaga ang programang binibigay, Batibot, Hiraya Manawari, lahat nakakatulong sa learning namin. Ngayon wala na puro na kalandian. Sorry for that. So this is what I'm trying to say now. Learning study habits, for our students right now, to acquire study habits is very difficult because most Filipino learners right now are into physique, health and wellness, becoming actors and singers because of the proliferation of singing contests and acting contests on television. Na ang focus nila ngayon ay to be someone who's a YouTuber, a blogger, and so on and so forth. So what we want our students to be able to do is first sit down with our students, with the parents, and ask them, what's your personal goal? Okay. Therefore, to answer the question number 1, what is study habit? Study habit can be described as establishing a dedicated schedule and uninterrupted time to apply oneself to the task of learning. Siya ang gumagawa ng schedule. What works well? Siya nakakaalam. So of course, hindi pa niya alam magawa ng schedule. So at first, it will be a schedule that parents and teachers create with the student. Okay? Ang mahirap kasi ngayon sa paggawa ng time management scheduling for kids would be sila kasi ay nasa bahay. Mas mahirap ituro ang study habits ngayon sa bahay kasi nasa bahay nga lang sila. So, mas malaki ang responsibilidad niya ng mga magulang kaysa sa mga teachers ngayon in terms of, equipping our students with good study habits. Study habit is an action-oriented plan, such as reading, literacy skills are very important, all right? Taking notes, holding study groups, which the students perform regularly and habitually in order to accomplish the task of learning. So it becomes a habit. At first, hindi pa nila makikita ang ako nun, to be honest. No, sorry, palaging sarili ko pinag-usapan natin dito. So when I present kasi para lang ako ng storytelling. So it's up to you if you're going to listen to me. When I was a student, well, until now I'm still a student, I do have groups. I study with them, I help them, we help each other. But it's a way of life. I habitually come up with a schedule and it becomes a habit and it's part of my life. Hindi pwede sa isang linggo, hindi ako nakapag-aral. At kaya parang pag nawawala sa schedule, kaya yung nangyari sa nung pandemic po, nagkaroon tayo ng ECQ, sirang-sira ang schedule ko. Hindi ko alam kung anong mangyayari. Parang life has no more meaning because my schedule was thrown off balance. But eventually, because I have to reinvent myself, I had to come up with a new habit, naghahalaman na ngayon, nagdidilig, may alagang mga aso. Iba na. The things that I thought before were mundane, paglilinis, pagluluto, became part of my habit, pagising sa umaga. So the point there is that I need a goal. I need to survive. My goal for now is to be able to survive and become better at online teaching. So hanggat hindi tayo nakakapaggawa ng goal po natin, students, individuals, professionals like us, we will not be able to um, acquire set of habits that is good for our learning or lifelong learning. With that, let's proceed to question number 2. What what makes a study habit good? All right, so I'm just looking at some certain questions here. Shout out to Mr. Arnold Bulfa. Didn't realize you're watching too. All right, so what makes a study habit good? So we must know what are those set skills for our students to acquire. And definitely the first one would be mindset. Dapat unang-una muna ay meron silang paniniwala na kaya kong baguhin ang sarili ko. I can change myself. Other people can do, if other people can change, if some students can, become better students, I can too. Ang tawag po natin dito ay dapat i-boost ang confidence, ang self-esteem ng mga bata. A lot of students who have poor study habits have poor self-esteem. All right? And one thing that we can boost is, wag muna, alam mong mababa na ang tingin sa sarili nila, mga estudyante natin, mababa ang tingin nila sa sarili niya. Tapos, bibigyan mo pa ng maraming assignments, homeworks, lalo sila madidepress. Bakit po? Kasi nga, ang unang-unang dapat gawin po na natin unang intervention is intervention towards helping our students have better, higher self-esteem. Unahin muna natin yun. Ang tingin nila sa sarili nila. Kung ang tingin nila sa sarili nila ay mahina, baguhin natin yan. Hanggat hindi natin nababago ang mindset na yan, hindi sila magbabago. Kahit ang turo natin sa kanila, they will not be intrinsically motivated to do something about it. Or to open a book, to take down notes, and all other study habits and other skills that our students should have in order to reach their learning goals. So the personal goals now should become more of a learning goal. Anong learning goal mo sa buhay? Anong gusto mo pagkatapos ng high school? So instead of having personal goal, gawin mo muna yung learning goal. Ano yung madali niya makuha? So mindset muna, focusing muna ang kanyang self-esteem. A lot of research showed that students who are struggling at school, most of them emanates from low self-esteem. So unahin po muna natin ang mindset. Alright? Another skill for the study habits will be self-discipline. Kahit kung ang bata daw ay naniniwala na may goal na siya at mataas na ang kanyang self-esteem, magkakaroon na siya ng disiplina sa sarili niya. He will now be able to prioritize what's important and what's not. Will now be able to decide whether to study or not because he has already a goal. The mindset, changing oneself, will now creating a goal, a learning goal, and then will now start helping the student become more disciplined. Pero observe po, hindi magkakaroon ng pagbabago ng mindset ang mga bata kung walang external influence. And later now we'll discuss those external influence. Okay? Hindi yan bigla na lang pagising ng bata ng umaga, ang taas ng self-esteem ko, ang taas ng paniniwala ko, magaling na ako agad. That doesn't happen. It's not it's a dream. Hindi yan fantasy na mangangarap ang mga teacher, mangangarap ang mga magulang na sana pag kumain to ng maraming ng gulay at saka prutas, pagising bukas, iba na ang tingin sa sarili niya, nagbago na siya. That's wishful thinking, people. Alright? Now, out of the kahit daw ang bata, even if our students have changed their mindset from negative to positive, from low self-esteem to high self-esteem, and then they are now well-disciplined. But if they have low proficiency on their literary skills, that will be listening, reading, and writing, wala pa rin. Dahil the study habits require our students set skills on literacy that will be listening, speaking, of course, oracy will be there, reading and writing. Ang bata na mahina sa pagbabasa, ang bata na mahina sa pagsusulat, note-taking, especially summarizing and outlining, would still struggle so much on achieving their learning goals. So hindi agad ang literacy skill. Ang literacy skills po natin ay hindi yan agad kagaya ng mindset na paniniwala lang sarili. Hindi. Ituturo natin sa mga bata. Therefore, ang mga bata daw na poor ang study habits can be equated to having poor literacy skills. And therefore, if students have poor literacy skills, it is now a compounded problem of our students from elementary up to where they are right now. And not to mention, it's not just from the lower grades, okay, compounded problems from the lower grades, but also compounded problems starting from where they came from, sa bahay nila, sa pamilya nila. Ang bata na lumaki sa pamilya na ang mga magulang ay hindi rin nakikitaan na nagpa-prioritize, nag-aaral, nagbabasa, nagsusulat, kids would not capture and acquire those skills. Kaya may mga bata na iba ang behavior, literacy behavior sa school, sa literacy behavior nila sa bahay. And I think a lot of teachers will say, nakaka-relate nito. Iba kasi may mga bata talaga, ibang ugali pag nandito sa school, ibang ugali pag nasa bahay. Alright? May mga bata na kunwari nag-study sa bahay kasi para ano yan. Tapos pagdating sa school, bulak-bul pala. Tapos pag nireklamo at tinatawag mga magulang, sabihin ng mga magulang, palagi yung nag-aaral sa bahay. Tayo eh. Right? Another would be part of set skills would be note-taking skills. Ito yung one of my topics on memory enhancement. Note-taking skills towards memory enhancement. Being able to pay attention to lessons that they're supposed to be studying on and somehow helping them be able to store this information in the long-term memory. And note-taking skills would be one of those, and using graphic organizers would be one of those set skills that would help our students acquire good, effective study habits. And if you would like to know more about the note-taking skills using graphic representations, you may want to review my webinar, my topic on developing enhancing memory skills through graphical presentations. I already had that. My literacy skills already done. Talking about literacy skills, you may want to review that. And my self-discipline, I'm done with the topic with that. Mindset, I'm done with that. So you may want to go back to all the things. So my topic today is basically summarizing all the things that I have discussed in the previous weeks. So all of these are separate topics that I discussed before, and you may want, if you want to explore better in detail each of this, you may want to go back to those webinars. If not, I already have handouts on this, so you may request from VIBAL my handouts for these topics. And finally, we have time management. Research showed, again, based on the Student Wellness Center of the university, Saskatchewan, that even if students have high self-esteem, well-disciplined, have sets of literacy skills, have note-taking skills, but if they do not have time management skills, it still is nothing. May mga tao dyan, maraming bata dyan, mga estudyante na matatalino, pero since they don't have time management, especially cramming, kagaya ng myth busting kanina, sinasabi ng mga matatalino na, ay, kasi mas magaling ako, mas maging creative ako pag bukas na ang mga submission ng mga projects and so on and so forth. That's not right. That is not good time management. Magaling nga siya sa taking literacy skills. So that is still cramming, and it's posing a lot of stress on the brain. And it causes a lot of emotional roller coaster among students, and eventually will take its toll on the students that later on would cause a lot of anxieties. Okay? So a study habit is considered good when it is effective in achieving the learning goals. Malalaman po natin na tama ang pinili ng bata na paniniwala niya sa sarili niya, yung disiplina niya, yung mga literacy skills niya, nagagamit ba niya, at yung note-taking skills at time management if na-meet yung personal goals. Sino ang magsasabi sa mga bata na, anak, halika nga, di ba gusto mo ang grade mo ay tumaas ng 5 points and so on and so forth? Alright, hindi siya tumaas eh. Ano bang ginawa natin? Ma'am, nag-study naman po ako. Ano po yung ginawa mo? Alright, sino ang nagka-counsel sa bata to look at tama ba ang quality? Kasi may mga bata ng aral pero bumabagsak. Dami ng teachers, di ba? This statement says, a study habit is considered good when it is effective in achieving the learning goals. If our students are studying and they are not reaching their goals, there's a possibility that these skills that they are using for their study habits or for studying are not effective in reaching their goals. And therefore, there should be a support group from the school, either the teacher, the counselor, or the parents, to sit down with the teacher and analyze what went wrong. What are these strategies that the students employed in the course of achieving the learning goals, say, let's say in a quarter, and analyze and realize what went wrong. Eh wala po nagsagawa niyan. Ang nangyayari po kasi sa mga bata ay bahala ko. So kids get frustrated like, I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Bless your soul, James Ingram. But the point here is that nafo-frustrate ang mga bata na they're doing their best to adjust to the demands of the academics, and yet it's not giving them positive results. So what do you think will happen? They'll get depressed, and then they will just decide, ay bahala na lang. Yung iba nga dyan, hindi nag-aaral, nakakapasa. Tapos ako pa, yung iba dyan, hindi nag-aaral pero nakakapasa. Ako, aral, nakakapasa. Ba't ako mag-aaral? Bahala na lang. It goes back again to mindset because there is a result. So, hindi pwedeng, hindi basta may study habits lang. It says, ulitin ko po, a study habit is considered good. Bisaya na kay God, good when it is effective in achieving the learning goal. So dapat teachers, and itong sinasabi ko po sinabi ko sa VIBAL noon na let's teach our parents and our students to sit down before the start of classes to profile our students. Part of profiling would be, what are your goals for this year? So short term muna. Alam na po natin dapat kung anong long term, short term, ano bang pangarap mo sa buhay, and so on and so forth. By that, we will be able to guide our students, and then that goal, their learning goals, those short-term learning goals, and the long-term, short-term, the long-term and the short-term learning goals will be our basis to evaluate whether the study habits that our students take on during the course of achieving the learning goals, whether it's short or long-term goals, are really effective. All right? So, importante po na napuproseso din. So, to summarize our discussion on our question, what makes a study habit good, is that studying is a skill. Simply put, being successful in school requires a high level of study skills. And it depends on one student to another. There's what we call as learning styles. I'm not saying that our students should be put in a box on their own personal learning style. What we want is that for our students first to choose strategies that fit, okay, like a puzzle, fit their own personal learning styles, and eventually take on other learning styles to be able to become more holistic. That's what I did when I was a student then. I had different strategies for learning in science, studying in math. So dapat alam ko na I have to take on different learning strategies or studying strategies depending on the subject. Kasi yung isang strategy ko na ginagamit ko sa TLE, hindi effective for other subject area. Just me. Ako lang po yun. Siguro dahil nga klaro sa akin ang goals ko noon. So, ang tawag nga sa akin nung mga magulang ko at mga kaibigan ko, sweetik. Ako sweetik. Marunong ako mag-adjust. So I think study habits, our students should also realize that there's no such thing as a fixed set of study skills for all subject areas. I believe that our students will have to use different sets of study skills for a particular subject area because each subject area has its own nature and its own cognitive demand and its own content demand. Therefore, our students should be able to choose which of those study habit strategies would fit would fit in order for them to effectively learn what they're supposed to be learning in that subject area. Okay? And students must first learn these skills. So learn, sabihin learn, tinuro. Hindi nila yan, kahit binasa pa yan nila sa libro, nakita nila sa mga classmates nila, someone has to teach them that way. Panahon ko nga lang kasi talaga, inggitero kasi ako, gaya-gaya ako. I think ang tawag nga sa akin nun ng mga professors ko like, I was like a sponge. Everything I see, everything I observe from which, which was good, I absorb, and then it makes it part of myself and make it better. Okay? So, ganyan po dapat ang ginagawa ng mga estudyante natin. I had an open mind, and we need to teach our students to be open-minded and be able to learn from either from the teacher, from classmates. Kaya maganda pong collaborative learning kasi nga nakikita ng mga bata ang mga ibang strategies ng mga bata in coping with the demands of the different subject areas. Practice them and develop effective study habits in order to be successful. So, nakukuha din po ang mga practices na to not just from teachers, but also from students, and I believe also from parents. Good study habits include many different skills, time management, okay, time management, different skill, self-discipline, concentration, memorization, organization, and effort. And I think desire to succeed is important too. I think that it could be the core of it all, the core of learning study habits or the strategies and the skills for studying would be the desire to accomplish and achieve all your learning goals. Okay? That being answered for the second question, let's now proceed to the second question, third question. What causes poor study? And let's now find out. Based on the study done by Stanford University in Europe, from the different universities and from students in Africa, I think this is this is for those teachers out there taking their masters, this could be one of your master's researches that you want to embark on, like the study skills of grade 11 students in and their academic achievement in math. Tingnan natin kung anong ginamit ng yung mga nagsusurvive, yung mga high academic achievers ng mathematics, ano yung ginagamit nila ng mga strategies to be able to get that. Let's call it as an ex post facto. Very nice study, huh? All right. So, a student with poor study habits. Okay? Yan siya. Tinan mo tsura. Kawawang-kawawa naman. Kahit effort na po siya. Sabi niya, diba naman to? Kahit nagbigay na ako ng oras, ginago ko na ang paniniwala ko sa sarili ko, pero wala pa rin pumapasok sa utak ko. Alright? Let's now find out what are the causes of poor study habits among our students. This is not mine, okay? Although I already had hunches that these are the causes, but research showed Stanford University and the University of Saskatchewan came up with these results, okay? Number one, I'm sorry parents out there, but the results of the longitudinal study participated by both students and parents found that the number one cause for students' poor study habits would be poor monitoring from parents. So, kayong mga magulang dyan sa labas na sinisisi ninyo agad ang mga teachers kung bakit ang mga anak ninyo ay hindi nagsasucceed sa school, ay tanungin nyo sarili nyo muna, ano ba ang ginawa ko? Was I able to monitor my children's studies at home? And ngayon pa na nasa bahay ang pag-aaral ng mga bata, so mas mataas ngayon ang demand for parents to monitor the studies of their kids. Hindi po teacher agad. Both parents, both parents, the results of the study, longitudinal study, came out that the number one cause would be poor monitoring from parents. A lot of parents rely on school and teachers to provide students with the literacy skills and note-taking skills, probably perhaps for the time management skills because of the fixed schedule. But hindi po hawak ng mga teacher at oras ng mga bata sa bahay. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate on that. I'm sorry, it may hurt. It hurts. Okay, it hurts. The truth hurts, people, but it is what it is. Second, sakit ko. Nakalagay na nga, poor monitoring from parents, number one. Pangalawa, parental educational status. Well, sabi daw dito sa results daw ay ang mga magulang daw na mababa ang pangarap nila para sa sarili nila. Ganon din daw ang kanilang monitoring sa mga bata. Mababa rin ang kanilang educational dreams for their children. Nagmamatch daw ang pangarap ng magulang para sa sarili nila sa pangarap ng mga bata. Kung ang bata daw ay ang mga magulang ay wala silang pangarap nung sila ay bata pa at nung sila ngayon ay ang pangarap lang nila ay mabuhay araw-araw, do you expect your kids to be able to have a better dreams in life if they see their parents only dreaming just to survive every day? I know that is a common occurrence here in the Philippines. But pwede naman po magpanggap kayo mga magulang na kahit ang pangarap mo lang ay magkaroon ng pagkain na pagsapag ninyo araw-araw, ay sabihin nyo, nung bata ko, pangarap ko talaga maging doktor. Pero dahil sa hirap ng buhay, pwedeng ganon. Kahit wala kang pangarap sa buhay, magpanggap ka. According to the recommendations of the study is that if parents only pretended, sabi ng mga bata, if only our parents pretended that they had dreams when they were kids and it just so happened because of poverty they were not able to do that. Hindi eh. Ang nangyari daw is puro na nga sila, wala pang pangarap sa buhay. Do you think kids will go beyond what they have been exposed to in their families? I'm sorry. Pangalawa siya. Agad sinisisi natin ang school. Agad natin sinisisi ang mga teachers, pero results show. 1 and 2, parents, families. Let's now have number 3. Cause. Poor monitoring from teachers and school counselor. Ayun. Pumasok na si mga teacher. So, akala niyo mga teacher out there, alusot na kayo. Pangatlo po kayo. Tayo pala, kasama tayo doon. So, ang teacher daw na hindi masyadong strict inside the school, not demanding high stakes from students. Observe. A lot of students, comparative study, one of these results says na ang mga bata daw ay nag-aaral na masyado sa isang subject na ang mga bata ay takot sa teacher. At dahil sa takot sila, they prepare so much for the subject. Tapos hindi sila nag-absent and so on and so forth. And later on, yung takot nila was replaced by respect. May mga teachers daw na akala ng mga estudyante, akala ng mga teachers na paborito sila ng mga estudyante nila tayo patawa-tawa lang sa loob ng classroom. Pero I was also shocked with the results of the study that most of the students actually responded that they just laugh at the teacher pero nakakalusot sila, pero they feel that they wasted their time listening to the teacher. They laughed so much, yes, but at the end of the day they realized that they would rather be with a teacher who's a little bit strict and have a structure. Hindi naman palaging hindi yung sigaw ng sigaw, pero strict po sa mga requirements because they learned something from it. So, importante daw din po ang monitoring from the teacher. Of course, nakalagay din po ay school counselor. It turned out that teachers, students would want to talk to their school counselor about their study habits problem to a counselor instead of talking to their teachers. Kasi nahihiya daw sila at natatakot daw sila kasi baka isipin ng mga teacher na baka nagkulang sila sa pagtuturo, bakit naghihirapan pa rin ng mga bata. So, teachers would want to talk to a counselor instead. So, one of the recommendations of the study showed that schools should beef up their guidance counseling office. 4, patay na, school pa rin. Poor school learning support facilities. Hindi lang daw galing sa monitoring ng school at saka ng school counselor, but also poor facilities. May mga study nooks ba ang mga school natin, libraries natin? Ngayon, dahil wala nga sa school naman yan, nasa bahay naman ng mga bata, na meron ba tayong situated place at home specifically devoted for studying away from what we call as distractions? These are the 4 major causes for poor study habits of our students. Ulitin ko po for emphasis, poor monitoring from parents, ouch. Parental educational status, ouch again. And then poor monitoring from teachers and school counselors. Sabi ng mga teachers ngayon, yay, see, hindi kami yung unang-una, but then again, you're still part of the problem. And poor school learning support facilities. Sabi ng mga teacher, sabi ko na nga ba, dahil kulang ang mga binibigay ng mga ng school namin eh. panahon kasi namin, sorry for the Highlighted National High School, meron kami talagang, siguro yung mga nasa R&D noon eh. Sa R&D, meron kami mga sarili naming classrooms and then we have nooks in the library for us to study. Parang ano yun eh, parang thinking back now, parang discriminatory, no? Kami na nga medyo mataas ang section, tapos kami pa ang privileged to be able to use all of those, study notes. Anyway, but dapat ngayon daw, available yan sa lahat ng mga estudyante. Right? Kaya lang, kung sa bahay yan, dapat mga magulang, you designate a place where students can study where they are away from distractions. Now, what are the effects? If these are the causes, what are the effects of poor study habits? Number one, poor self-discipline and prioritization. Hindi nga nila nakikita sa bahay. So magkakaroon ba sila ng disiplina? On that note, hindi pala primary cause ng walang disiplina mga bata ay si teacher. Bahay pala yon. So pag ang bata daw ay galing sa bahay na poor monitoring from parents and poor parental educational status, ang resulta, poor self-discipline and prioritization of students. Number two, improper time management. Kung naman sa bahay, walang tamang oras ng paggising, pagtulog, paano nga naman siya magta-time management kung sa bahay, ganun din, wala ng struktura. No? Alright, next would be lacks concrete learning and life goals. So, lacks dapat yun. As students ba kasi ito? I think may a student, so lacks concrete learning and life goals. So pag poor monitoring from teachers and school counselors, students somehow are not able to create their own learning goals. If they were not able to get, that at home, at least the school will provide them with guidance in helping them, come up with their learning goals. Kahit man lang sa teachers, sa classroom teachers. And finally, poor academic performance. What do you expect? All right. So, let's summarize our answer to the question, what causes poor study habits? Poor study habits of students are caused by compounded home and school factors, which lead to students' inability to help themselves. Para matulungan ang sarili na cope with various complicating and complexing demands from school and society. Therefore, study habits is a way of coping mechanism for students to be able to survive all the demands coming from the school and from the home. So kung hindi, ganyan po, kawawa naman ng mga bata. Magkakaroon na sila ng, I could now just imagine why there's a research that came out. I forgot, I think it's from the Eric Journal, that one of the existing problems of the 21st century learners would be depression at a very young age. Well, I could say now it's true because of the very many demands from technology, from the tri-media, from the society, from the school, from home, from peers. All of these are complicating and complexing demands for students. All right, let's now proceed to the last question. I think I don't have enough time. Yeah, I still have enough time. What are ways to help students develop good study habits? Again, this is some of my experiences that I've been doing for the past years as a school administrator and a school consultant. And I usually do is I deal with special problems of students, and especially with St. Thomas Aquinas and Southwoods of Cavite, School of Cavite. I talk personally to the parents, identify schools. I observe classes. My responsibility was actually to observe classes, not necessarily to just grade teachers, but to support the teachers into identifying students who are struggling, okay, or students who are misbehaving, and I pinpoint that and talk to the parents and come up with a program to help them do something about the overcoming of students' behavior. By coming up with practical home programs. Okay? Sana magawa din po ng ibang schools. All right. Let's have number one. My suggestion is approach studying positively. We need to teach our students to approach studying in a positive perspective. Na kailangan maintindihan ng bata na itong tinuturo natin na schedule, ang schedule na binibigay natin sa kanila, ang paniniwala nila sa sarili nila ay para sa kanila. Hindi ito dapat parusa sa kanila. Alright? A lot of students kasi, pag pumasok sa guidance counselor or pag kinausap ang consultant ng school o kinausap ni teacher, ang feeling ng bata agad ay may ginawa siyang kasalanan. Dapat baguhin daw natin ang approach. Dapat malaman ng bata na, ma-feel nila na, mas okay pala pag kinakausap ako ni teacher. Mas nag-i-improve ako. Dati kasi ang perspective natin pag kinausap ng teacher, pag tinawag ng teacher, okay, Mr. Aguirre, all of you may go. Mr. Aguirre, stay because I need to talk to you. Pag ganun na, sabi, tawanan ng mga classmates ko, patay ka, Aguirre, may ginawa ka ng kabulustugan. Wala ka, sige. Well, we need to change that. When our students we hear our names being called, dapat ang tingin ng mga bata, ala, buti pa siya. So, binibigyan ng attention ng teacher and so on and so forth. These are the things. So, change it to become more positive than negative. Make it more constructive than destructive. May masabi lang. All right. Una, change the mindset. So when you talk to the child individual, I'm sorry, it has to be individually. We need to follow this, the data privacy law, and whatever individual problems we have identified from our students, we need to individually talk to the child about this without others listening to it, so that they will feel secured and they will feel that we are genuinely there to help them. Yan pong ginawa namin sa Sister Mary. So mga estudyante, they have a nook where they can really talk to the counselor. All right? Hindi sa classroom lang. So change your mindset, change the students' mindset by helping them come up with their own learning goals. Okay? Next, state your intention for studying. Dapat turuan daw natin ang mga bata. Bakit? Ano ang intention mo para mag-aral? Kasi sabi ng mga magulang ko, yan sabi ng mga magulang mo. Pero what's yours? Wala po eh. Okay, so wala. Would you like us to make one? Huwag mong pilitin ang bata. Pag hindi, okay, if you're not ready yet, I would like you to think about it. Meron ka bang idol sa buhay? Opo, yung artista po, okay. So, aralin mo muna yung artista na yan. Ano ang kanyang strength? Aral ba siya o hindi? So, then let's talk about that again within the week, okay? So, huwag pipilitin ng bata na i-impose natin ang ating learning goals on the child. Kung meron siyang sinasabi, you look for areas where you can, elicit those intentions for studying. Kung meron siyang mga idolo, so pwede natin gamitin ang mga idolo na yan. Do you think your idol will be able to stay? Kung kunwari, hindi nag-aaral ng kanyang idol, edi sabihin po natin na, alam mo bang, kagaya na nangyari ngayon sa ABS-CBN, nawalan sila ng trabaho. Hindi na sila makahanap ng trabaho dahil nakatapos ng pag-aaral. So, you use those situations to help your students come up with alternatives. Hindi man sinasabi na drop that dream, okay? It won't work. You come up with alternative learning goals. Hindi isa lang. Dapat may mga alternatives din siya. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Next, organize your time based on your priorities. Okay, na-prioritize mo na. Ang gusto mo pala ay maging engineer. Okay, maging engineer ka. O, dapat nag-aaral ka ngayon. Unahin mo ang pag-aaral mo, galingan mo sa math. Pinamongkado mo sa math. So, ang kailangan mo dito, math, English, at saka science. So, aralin po natin na. So, bigyan mo ng mas maraming oras. Mag-study ka na mas matagal dito sa mga subjects na to. Prioritize these subjects kasi this one would lead you to your dream. Pero paano malalaman ng bata kung walang tao uupo with the child para ma-realize yung to? How can the child approach studying positively if no one is talking to the child? If only teachers out there would embark on doing a thesis study on this, a case study, or perhaps an action research on study habits towards individual students reaching their learning goals, that would greatly help all teachers kasi most of my literature po, most of my statistics came from the other countries. Wala pa masyadong nag-aaral dito sa Pilipinas on study habits. I hope some of you, teachers out there would, embark on doing study habits. These are basically the things that I've been doing as part of being a consultant for the school. My job to talk to parents and all, but I have anecdotal records on those. I have anecdotal records, but the problem is I have not published it as a research. Number three. I'm sorry, number two. Help your students choose a conducive place, okay, to study. Now, kahit pa may learning goals sa mga bata, kung sa bahay naman niya wala siyang lugar para makapag-aral o kaya sa school na makapag-aral, kahit pa magandang kanyang learning goals sa buhay, mahirap pa rin. So, importante pa rin, meron talaga siyang nook, especially sa bahay. So, this time, teachers, you need to talk to the parents na, ma'am, Nay, kayo po talaga ang makakatulong sa inyong anak para matuloy-tuloy po niya at ma-reach niya yung learning goals na establish po namin sa school. Kahit po tinulungan ko yung anak ninyo na makapag-establish po ng kanyang short-term at long-term learning goals, importante pa rin po kasi natulungan po natin sa bahay. Kung pwede lang po sana mag-designate po tayo ng isang lugar. Kung hindi naman, kung wala po tayong lugar sa bahay, at least pag sinabi po ng bata na ng after dinner po, 8 to 9 o'clock po siya mag-study, so sana po lahat ng mga tao sa bahay ay tahimik din ng TV and so sinusuportahan po natin ang bata para since wala naman po siyang walang tayong lugar, so gawin po natin ang buong bahay po ay supporting the 1 hour study time ng anak natin. Okay po yun. Kasi kung ang bata siya lang nag-aaral, sa utak-utak niya, ako lang nagsasakripisyo, tapos ibang mga miyembro ng pamilya ko nagpapakasaya, di magpapakasaya na rin ako, di damay-damay na lang. Mostly, ganun po talaga ang perspective ng mga bata. Sasabihin ng mga magulang, wala kang magagawa, bata ka pa. Kung matanda ka na, sige, gawin mo gusto mo. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Kasi nga, mas madali matempt ang mga bata kaysa sa mga adults. So, kung sino man, sabi nga natin, kung sino pang mas nakakatanda, siya dapat ang nakakaintindi at siya dapat ang nag-a-adjust. So we have to enlist the support of the parents, especially right now that our students, especially for studying, lahat yan nasa bahay. So these are the things that we need to identify. Identify what distracts you most and avoid them purposefully when studying. Ito po yung sinasabi ko po na to profile your students. So hindi lang interest dapat ang titingnan natin. Titingnan po natin na itong interest po niya ba are destructive to the students' studies. Halimbawa, sa interest po niya, Mobile Legends. Dapat nakalagay sa ating profile, sa profiling instrument na ginawa po natin, ano yung number of hours. I play Mobile Legends or I play online games 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 to 6. May mga ganun-ganun para makita natin, dapat kasi ang mga ganito, tapos I study how many hours a day. Para makita po natin kung ang ginagawa ng mga bata ay destructive or distractions to accomplishing their learning goals. Kung wala po tayong profiling ng mga estudyante on the interest and then how this interest, play as a, kasi diba ang interest po ng mga bata mostly will help the teachers, as teachers look for context in our lesson, a relevant context for our lesson, especially for the examples. Pero kasi it can also pose a problem for our students on their studies. So dapat hindi po titingnan natin, baka mas maraming oras ang ginugugol ng mga bata sa kanilang mga interests kaysa sa pag-aaral. Alright? And we need to look at that profile. So sana may nag-aaral po dyan, may gumagawa ng studies about student profiles or profiling students or student profiling. Nag-talk na ba akong student profiling? I think mayroon na kaming topic yan sa student profiling, so but it wasn't mine. So you may want to go back to the other webinars on student profiling, so at least you would know how student profiling is done. All right. Next should be identifying the students' learning styles and suit their environment that maximize this. Kagaya na sinabi ko kanina, unahin po natin kung ano mga strategies that fits the personal learning styles of the students, and once they get used to it, dagdag na tayo ng ibang learning styles. Okay, we do not just situate there, pero unahin po natin ang personal learning style ng mga bata. There is an online test on identifying students. It's a free online test, on one-time test nga lang po for students to be able to, for them to know their learning styles, and then para malaman ng mga teachers what strategies would best suit their learning styles. Okay? Third, bring everything you need, nothing you don't. So ito po yung turuan po ng mga bata na pag nag-aral siya, Ang nakalagay lang sa kanyang mesa ay yung mga kailangan niya. Yung panahon po natin nag-aaral tayo, sino magdadala ng chichirya, sino magdadala, ibang nagdadala pa ng una, nagdadala pa ng may classmate ako na dinadala pa niya yung kanyang kulambo para sa paan niya. I'm sorry, di ko naman sinabi yung pangalan, di ba? So, kung naalala mo yun, sorry po, pero di kita pinangalanan ha. May kulambo pa, yung isa naman may dala niya yung kanyang may kumot tapos ginaganong-ganon niya. Ako naman kasi unan. I think a lot of people, I'm not ashamed of that anymore. Kahit nagdadrive ako or whatever I'm doing, I have a pillow, pero iniwan ko na kasi I need to outgrow that. Kunwari, hawak-hawak ko yung palagi ginaganon-ganon to. Anyway, ano lang, dapat alam ng bata kung ano ang mga bagay na dadalhin niya na makakatulong sa kanyang pag-aaral. Nandun lang kayo sa kanyang mesa na makakatulong sa kanyang pag-aaral at ano dapat ang nakadistract sa kanya. So, unang-una, it's just an explanation though. While it may seem ideal to type notes into your laptop to refer back to later, computers are powerful distractions for many people because of their versatility. Research shows, based on the Stanford University's longitudinal study on study habits, a lot of students struggle so much in their studies because they bring with them gadgets, and they found out that there would be more time for students to chill out, to browse over and browse over the social media over studying. Although they are studying, pero nababawasan ng oras ng pag-aaral dahil nga sa gadgets nila. Yung gadgets nila kasi open and they can open all other distracting connections. Unlike daw kung traditionally libro at saka notebook, kaya nga di ba yung study nakalabas na yung submit natin kanina, the Stanford University was able to find out based on their longitudinal study that students succeed more academically and in life if they still use the traditional way of studying the book and the notes, because they're able to process the information personally and are able to store the information in their long-term memory. Unlike for notepads, tablets and all, it becomes more of a superficial. Only the most of the information stay in the short-term memory and later on are discarded. You may want to listen to this study, but ako din, ganun din ba ako pa nag-aral? Libro at saka notebook. Yung computer ko, ginagamit ko lang yan if I do research. Tapos sinasarado ko yung, well anyway, depende po yung self-discipline mga tao. Alright? Pero ako din, I have sarili ko din, naghahanap ako talaga ng place na konti lang ang tao. And definitely with coffee. I don't know, but for some people it's a distraction. But for me, it's something that helps me focus. Anything. All right? So yun po yun. So tuturuan po natin ng mga bata na ano yung mga nakadistract sa'yo. Be honest. You can only be honest to yourself. And then, huwag mong dadalhin yan pag nag-study ka o mong itatabi ang sarili mo pag nag-study ka. So it is very important for our students na tinuturuan sila kung paano mag-adjust. Kaya ang tawag natin, ang tawag din sa study skills are coping mechanism skills. How can they cope with the demands of the school, of the learning academic demands, if they're not able to know themselves. So part of the responsibility of the school, the parents, is for them to guide the students to help to understand themselves, so that by understanding themselves, they're able to avoid triggers, okay? And that they are now able to cope with whatever situations they are faced with. All right, the fourth and the last. So, no, there are 5 that I came up with. Second to the last. Before studying, turuan daw natin ang bata to look at the bigger picture. Huwag ka muna mag-aaral. Ganito po ako mag-aaral. Kunwari kong libro yan. Una kong titingnan po ay ang chapter, and then scanning muna ako hanggang sa last part ng chapter so that I can have a bigger picture of what I'm studying about. Yung ibang mga estudyante, unang ginagawa ay nagbabasa na agad. Sa first page pa lang pagod ka na. Alright? Studying helps, the strategy of studying cognitively would be deductive approach from a bigger picture to specifics. Right? Next, prioritize and plan. We need to help our students be able to prioritize what subjects they're struggling with, and that would be the first subjects. Kasi ang tendency for students is that doon na nga sila nag-struggle, yun ang hindi nila pinag-aaralan. Kung saan sila magaling, yun pinag-aaralan nila. But dapat hindi. kung saan sila medyo mahina, doon dapat ang mas binibigyan natin ng tone. I think kids would not know that, but that's a good strategy. It's because they were not, wala nga nang guide sa kanila. So we need to help them prioritize on that. Give yourself plenty of time. Ibig sabihin, turuan natin mga bata na magkaroon ng time. Hindi yung one deal shot study. Ang tawag namin doon ay dumping sheet syndrome na malapit na ang test doon lang mag-aaral. Okay? Hindi dapat. Okay? Dapat magbigay ka ng ilang oras, how many hours or how many minutes, English na rin natin para maganda pakinggan. How many minutes would you like to devote for studying the following subjects every day? So at least 15 to 30 minutes a day would be enough. 15 to 30 minutes. Now, if you have more subjects that you need to study on, schedule it the other day. Huwag naman yung 2 hours, that's too much for the students naman. 15 to 30 minutes. Kasi studying lang. Ibig sabihin, napag-aralan niya before, pinag-aralan niya ulit. Iba po yung studying in advance. That would be another one. So pwede pong gawin niya, okay, 15 to 30 minutes would be studying your previous lessons, and then 15 to 30 minutes again studying in advance. Pwede pong ganun ang gawin natin. Right? Nonetheless, pag sinabi natin give yourself plenty of time, you need to teach your students to come up with a concrete plan as to how many minutes are they going to study every day. Then, set up a study area. It's very important before studying. Okay? Klaro na sa utak ng mga bata, may schedule siya at pag-aaralan niya sa araw. Sa gabi na to. And the last one would be while studying. Students, that when they study, they need to not memorize exactly what's written on the book or what was written exactly on the blackboard, and then you just copied it on the way the teacher, wrote it on the blackboard, or the way the teacher presented on the online material. They need to, when they study, they need to explain it to themselves using their own words. That's how I did it. Mas naiintindihan kong konsepto kung I'm able to explain the concept using my own words. Pero may mga teacher kasi na nagpapatest siya o pag nagpapa-recite siya, may mga teacher kasi na gusto niya kung ano ang nakalagay sa libro, yun mismo ang pagkakasabi. Huwag pong ganon. That is not what learning is all about. We cannot ask, that's memorization. Memorization is only one of the tools for studying and towards learning. But we are able to realize that students are learning when they are able to explain the concepts using their own words, making it their own. Okay? So teachers out there are so strict, unless of course these are technical terms. Iba pa naman yung sinasabi ko, technical terms. Unless definition terms pa nagsasabi natin. Iba naman ang sinasabi ko, pag concepts, general concepts po, let the students be able to define the technical word using their own words. Hindi na pala putting their own words. Then talking about it. It's very important for our students to be able to have study buddies, pero hindi po gabi-gabi. So magkakaroon po siya ng study buddies. So importante po ngayon sa mga schools is to realize paano natin gagawa ng study time ang mga bata, collaborative study time online. Kasi it's very important that they talk about it. In fact, mas maraming learning ang nangyayari when you talk about the concept outside the classroom, right? So this is one of the good strategy kasi note-taking po yan, and then explanation, and then talking and teaching what you have learned. Mas mataas po yun. Kaya nga mga teachers, mas madali nilang maintindihan ang konsepto is when they teach about it, So that's a challenge for you as teachers. How can we create collaborative study forum for our students through online platforms? All right, so that will be the last of it. So I will now be entertaining questions about study habits. So Mitch, do we have, Jillian, I think it's my moderator right now. Do you have questions right now?
Thank you so much, brother. Let's proceed to our question and answer portion. For you, what study habit is the most effective for the Gen Z students?
For the?
Gen Z students.
Okay, Gen Z. Kasi dalawa na po ang ating generation ngayon. We have the alpha generation, mostly the the early grades, and we have the Gen Z that will be for our intermediate up to high school students. For the Gen Z students, we have hindi pa rin po tayo magsasabi na visual learners sila kasi again, depende po ulit yan sa bahay. I've encountered a lot of Gen Z students who are still uh, visual. Some of them are still tactile. Hindi yung nagva-vary po ang kanilang mga learning styles. So it is very important for us. My suggestion pa rin kasi it's not the generation that dictates the type of study habit that we need to provide our students with. It should be the individual learning styles because the habits and the mindset of our students does not come from the generation. It comes from their experience at home. May mga bata na ang kanilang study habit ay pang Generation C dahil sa bahay, techie sila lahat. Pero mga bata na Generation C nga siya pero lumalaki siya sa bahay na wala namang masyadong technology, hindi siya techie. So it would be unfair for some students if we select a particular set of study habits because we believe that this generation should be techie. Hindi po. Hindi po lahat ng henerasyon ay have the same perceived study skills and technological skills. So I believe, ulitin ko pong sinabi ko, I stand by my experience, okay, stand by experience that student profiling, individual student profiling is still the most effective way for us to be able to provide our students with the study set skills so that they will be able to choose for themselves which one works and which doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. Our next question is from Paulito Cañete. Question lang po, with regards to external influence, how can illiterate parents help young learners to develop good study habits?
It's true. I did a study on that when I was at PNU. I was in charge of the NSTP and the student services of the College of Languages and CAL, College of Arts and Literature. Ano yan, sa PNU naman. What we did is we came up with, ang mga estudyante namin was doing an outreach program, a literacy outreach program to young children in Baseco. That's in Tondo. Okay, I think that's where Catriona Gray, had her immersion. And we found out, and our students and myself found out that it was difficult for us to teach students beginning reading and beginning writing, all the literacy skills, because the parents do not have those literacy skills as well. So the parents were considered as to be a hindrance kasi kahit anong bigay namin ng mga materyales, pagdating sa bahay, hindi naman alam din gamitin ng mga magulang. Hindi nga nila alam mga basic sounds and the basic decoding skills kasi they don't even know how to read too. So that was a huge problem for us. Paano nga natin tutulungan ng mga bata na to na to be readers and to be writers when their parents are not literate themselves? So on that note, what we did is we came up with an intergenerational literacy program. So what we did is we came up with an adult early literacy program for the parents. Hindi namin sila, hindi sila magkasama. Ang ibang ginawa po, ibang mga programang ginagawa nila sa Pilipinas ay pinagsasama ang anak at ang mga magulang. Wag naman po kasi we need to preserve the dignity and well, iba kasi ang konteksto na ng mga examples at mga words na dapat ibibigay natin sa mga adult early literacy learners from the young early literacy learners. So magkaiba pong program. Parehas pong skills na tinuturo, pero magkaiba po ang mga materials na ginagamit at ang mga kontekstong ginagamit. So we call it as intergenerational literacy program. We were able to do that because I was in the support system of the school. So bawas po ako sa pagtuturo and I was able to focus on providing support to parents, coming up with programs. Bibigyan ako ng programs that was done every Saturday and lang po yun. 1 hour lang po every Saturday and Sunday. Kasi nga we don't want to eat the time from Monday to Friday where they are, looking for work, nagbabasura and so on and so forth. So we didn't want to eat a lot of their time. So Saturday and Sunday lang namin po ginagawa. What happened is that it went well. Actually, it went well. And sabay po ang pagkatuto ng mga magulang at ng mga bata. And then yung answer number 2 po, di ba, yung one of the causes would be the literacy of the students, and educational status of the students. We were able to see that the parents were able to support their kids, because they see the importance of having literacy and by themselves, and they're growing at the same time with their children. I think that program would be difficult for you guys out there kasi nga full teaching kayo eh. Yun ang sinasabi po ng study sa Stanford. And then my suggestion to, kung sana po ang school po natin mayroong support system outside the responsibilities of the teacher. So ibig sabihin, ang school mabubuo ng grupo na magtututok sa mga estudyante nang nanggagaling sa pamilya na talagang ang pamilya ay walang literacy support sa mga bata. With that kasi, teachers alone would not be able to do this task dahil bugbog na po sila sa pagpaplano para sa pagtuturo. Teaching pa nga lang po ay demanding na ano pa ang paggagawa ng intervention. Thank you very much. So my suggestion for that would be come up with intergenerational literacy program for adult early literacy, intergenerational early literacy program for adults. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
Thank you. You're reminding me of my time. Okay, so these are just some of the conclusions and implications I would like to leave you with. So good study skills can increase, okay, your confidence and competence and self-esteem. Research showed na ang bata daw na maganda ang kanyang study skills, they grow to become more confident, they become competent and have high self-esteem, and it's a good mindset for a student, and they will definitely succeed in whatever endeavor they set their minds to. And then they can also reduce anxiety about tests and deadlines. Ako noon kasi, sorry for the eye, ako na naman experience ko na sa, siguro mga classmates dyan na nanonood, nung college kami, alam nila na, bakit to sa Agiri, hindi alam na may test kasi may bigla ang mga test kami noon sa PNU. Tapos I was an athlete. So nagsasabay po na nagpapa-excuse ako sa teacher kasi may training kami. Tapos sasabihin ng mga classmates, pinapatawag ka ni ma'am dahil may bigla ang may bigla ang long quiz, long test. Sasabihin na, tapos tatakbo ako. Tapos sabi nila, tinan mo yan sa Aguirre. Hindi yan nag-aral. Tapos hindi pa yan late pa yan. Siya pa ang unang matatapos at siya pa magtatap. True enough. Why? Because hindi ako takot na magkaroon ng test. I did not fear taking a test because I had good schedules for study. Alam ko na pinag-aaralan ko siya, mag-test man siya anytime, nakapag-aaral na. Alright? By doing that, by developing effective study skills, students may be able to cut down on the numbers of hours spent studying. Habang tumatagal kasi, dahil nasasanay ng mga bata sa pag-aaral, lumiikli ang oras. Bumibilis kasi siya eh. Pag titignan ng notes, bumibilis. Ako nga eh, isang chapter nga. Ang isang chapter na note-taking ko po ay just about 10 to 15 minutes. Isang chapter sa mga libro namin sa PhD. Ganun kabilis. Kasi nasanay na nga ako. For some people would say, ang hirap naman ng ginagawa. No, it's easy now. I don't have difficulty studying anymore because all the skills are easy for me now. Habang tumatagal kasi naging madali, kasi naging part of your system and becomes a habit, becomes, way of life. So you are now able to spend more time with other things you would like to do. Watch television, have more time with friends, knowing na nagawa mo na ang pag-aaral mo. Right? Study habits are important as they influence the academic performance of students, so parents and teachers must help in improving the study habits of students. So I would like to challenge both parents and teachers to work together right now this year, because providing our students with study habits in this distance learning program in the Philippine education would rather be challenging for both parents and for teachers. So we need to come up with strong protocols for parents, okay, to monitor the studies of our students. So schedule is very important. Sitting down with the kids and helping them come up with short-term goals. Short-term goals siguro muna ngayon kasi hindi naman ata matagal ang pandemic na ito. Sana naman po. God willing. It is clear from all indications that most secondary school students have poor study habit. Totoo, lahat ng mga secondary teachers niyan, tingnan nyo, di ba? Parang sabi nyo, ano naman to? Nasa high school nga, parang mga elementary, walang pinag-aralan. Ano bang natutunan nila sa high school? It's because we were not able to, I'm sorry elementary teachers, but most of the study habits and the most of the study strategies that our students should have acquired in the academic perspective should have been taught to our students in the early grades and in the middle grades, and it was supported by the parents. So pag ang mga bata ay pumasok sa high school na purang study habits, the teachers are not able to focus more on teaching or instruction. Mostly they're thinking of remediation. Finally, knowing that the lack of active participation from parents, primary caregivers, teachers, and the whole school is the root cause of students' poor study habits. So, my last question to you, people out there, would be what are you going to do about it now? With that, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again for the next series of trainings next week. So I suggested diagnosis, which would, profiling of our students would be part of that next week. So diagnosis, learning diagnosing learning difficulties of our students next week would be interesting again. So I hope to see you again for the next series of webinars next week on diagnosing learning problems. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
There we have it. In behalf of VIBAL Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very practical, eye-opening, and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, brother. And to all our Kavibao viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.